Even good people go through bad times. I don't know about y'all, but that's so good for me to know. I said, that's good for me to know, because if I don't know that and I start going through bad times, then I think I'm a bad person. But that ain't what it says. No, even good people will go through bad times. John was a wonderful man. He was just having to survive a horrible season. And I don't care who you are, when life puts the squeeze on you, whatever is in you is going to come out. Whether it's pretty, whether it's ugly, whether it's nice, whether it's mean, it's going to come out. Opinions you thought you would have never had. Thoughts you thought you would have never thought. Conversations that you would have never gotten caught up in. See, pressure on the outside is what causes the frustration that's on the inside to be made manifest.
I hear you now. I hear you loud and clear. When I'm alone with you, that's usually when I feel one with you. Alone with you, so close to you. That's really the only time I know what to do. I'm learning now what you want me to do. All along, just to simply trust in you. You're right. I was never taught to trust. You're right. All I do is love to rush, but with you, I'm free. No explanations needed. I can just simply be. You got me now, covered and filled. I get it now. Just teach me to be still, so I can forever be in your will. We win. Usually when I feel one with you. I love that. Alone with you, so close to you. That's really the what happened. It was like 4 a.m. I had to go to a video shoot at 6 a.m. and I was really struggling, and I wanted to just do something that was completely off. And because of how minuscule it was, I won't say what it was. But long story short, matter of fact, I'll tell you, it's not crazy. Y'all gonna make me look stupid. But I wanted to listen to this song that it didn't necessarily honor God. And in that moment, I was going through so much at that time. And one of the things that God had said to me, he said, son, you can't afford to be outside of my presence. And it humbled me, because it's like, yo, I literally can't afford to be outside of the presence of God. Like, I literally can't afford to not be in a position where if he wants to speak to me, I can't hear him. All because I want to go do something that has nothing to do with that, nothing to do with him, and that glorifies him. So it's like, I was in a place where I was like, yo, like I wanted to just go listen to this song while I drove. I had like a long ride on the highway, and he literally said to me, he said, son, you can't afford to be outside of my presence. You can't, you literally, you have no reason to be outside of my presence, especially where you are right now. You need to be so close to me that when I speak, you follow instructions. And it's crazy, because I needed that. I needed to be so close to God, because I was in such a storm. Like, I literally need to be listening so closely to know what to do. And one of the things that God would begin to minister to me was like, desperation is a response. Desperation for God is a response. When you're desperate for God, you don't consider going back to the past. When you're desperate for God, you don't consider even sin. When you're desperate for God, you'll do whatever it takes to be in the presence of God. And I find that most of the time we think we're desperate for intimacy, when in fact we're desperate for our situations just to simply change. And we find that it in the consistency and how consistent we are with getting before God. What we really want is God to just change things, but the reality is it doesn't work like that. God wants us, and God wants us to become desperate for him, because when you're desperate for God, no one has to convince you to get in his presence. No one has to convince you to, obey him in a sense. And it's crazy. When I said that I hear you now, and when I'm alone with you, I feel one with you, I literally just got into the presence of God. No one was around. It was late at night, so I couldn't hear anything but him. It was just him. Just that peace, that still, that quietness, just being in his presence. And literally, I was like, wow, God, it's so crazy how when there's no noise, I feel like you're everywhere. I feel like I can feel you so much clearer. Everything just becomes clear when I'm with you alone. And it's like, I'm one with you when I'm alone with you. And it's like, this is where I need to be. I hear you loud and clear. Like, I hear you loud and clear. I'm here with you. So that's why I wrote that, man. I was in a place where I was like, yo, you're right, God. Like, I've never learned to trust, and maybe that's one of the things that's keeping me out of your presence, because I don't trust that you got this. Like, I don't trust that you got this situation. It's like, you do. You do got this. And it's like, I'm always rushing. And what do? We always move. We're always going. We're always moving. We're always doing. We're always going. It's like, nah, go to God. Be still. Get alone with God. Get desperate for God. And again, desperation is a response.